Hello there, grumpy old fart here. I love a good cup of coffee, don't you? Um, I I've played in hundreds of advanced Dungeons and Dragons games over the last 40 years, over 40 years, maybe thousands of them. Many dungeon masters run monsters as your basic engines of destruction. Cookie cutter antagonists with no rhyme or reason for their aggression, or they're your basic cardboard cutout bandits, you know. And this may suffice for beginning player characters and beginning players, but soon your players are going to want more. As a dungeon master, I try to give my bad guys a bit more backstory. Who is he and why is he there? Why is he attacking the party? What is his motivation and what are his ultimate goals? The bad guys have to fit into the world and they have to have a plan for achieving whatever goals that they have. So, by giving your characters a little more backstory, you give them some personality. If the goal the bad guy has is to get item A, and the player characters are in the process of getting item A, he may run into them, as a corollary thing, as a happenstance. But if he sees them, he may wait, let them get the item, and then take it from them on the trail. You see what I'm saying? If he's an intelligent person, he'll let them do all the hard work and then just take it from them. After they're beaten and bloody and everything, and they defeated all the bad guys, then they get the item, and they're turn around, they're coming back, then hit them. You see what I'm saying? Smart bad guys will do that. Why? Because they're bad guys. It's what they do. When I start a campaign, I create a number of protagonists, usually 3 to 6. And they're henchmen and the servitors, the people that work for them. Henchmen, lackeys, whatever. Minions. That's a good word. And these bad guys have goals and a plan to achieve these goals. The plan is already in action. So, it is up to the player characters to discover the plan. Or at least a part of it. And try to stop it. One of the biggest complaints of any dungeon master, and I hear this constantly, and it's justifiably so, this is a valid complaint, is when they design a huge, intricate, elaborate adventure with a huge dungeon with maybe a tower, castle, whatever, and it's it's off of the west of the town where the players are, and it's a wonderful campaign. They got it all set up and everything, and then for whatever reason the party insists on going east. It happens every single time. Or, for whatever reason, the party decides not to intervene in the bad guy's plan. Well, my character wouldn't do that. That would be against my character's alignment. My character has other things to do, that kind of thing. And that's perfectly within their rights to say that. If they're running their character a certain way, you can't argue with it. Because they're playing their characters. It's a role-playing game. They're playing a role. If the character wouldn't do it, they shouldn't do it. Using my campaign design pattern, the bad guy's plan progresses regardless of what the player characters do. All you can do is keep giving them hints as to what's going on. They run into this, they see that. This bad guy, they run into this bad guy at a shop. They see a trail of captives chained together heading for the slavery auction block or whatever. Something. You give them hints as to what they're doing. Now, if they stop him, cool. We get to run the adventure. If they ignore him, cool. We get to run little side adventures as the bad guy's plan progresses. And sometime in the future, when the player characters are higher level, they can try to stop him. However, keep in mind, as the plan progresses, it will be harder to foil. The bad guys and their henchmen will all be higher level as well. They'll be more powerful and will have better items. And if they wait too long, the plan will come to fruition, and that's something nobody wants. Whatever the plan is, they get this item that allows them to run the world. They overthrow the good king and set themselves up as the emperor, whatever the case may be. Regardless whether or not a specific encounter is related to the bad guy's plan, monsters are intricate personalities who require some planning and thought. Bandits, human or otherwise, are just looking for a quick score. But why? Did their farms fail? Are their families hungry? Are they in the service of a more powerful being, like essentially mercenaries for hire? What are their ultimate goals? If all it is they just need the money, then that's fine. That may very, very well be a valid reason for them to become bandits on the highway, highwaymen. But if there's something more involved, that's a way to get your players into the adventure. You see what I'm saying? Dragons, or other large solitary monsters, are greedy, avaricious beasts. Why have they ventured from their lair? Because they're notoriously, they sleep a lot. On their mound of treasure. If you've seen Lord of the Rings, you know what I'm talking about. The Hobbit, Why does this particular party interest them? Are they being controlled? Are they in the service of another more powerful being? Or maybe a wizard has them, has an orb of the dragon kind or whatever. A wizard can summon monsters and they have to obey him. There are spells for that. Demons, things like that. The idea there is if a monster, a bad guy monster, if a bad guy is controlling a monster, the monster probably doesn't like it. So if for whatever reason, instead of killing the monster, they eliminate that control somehow, chances are that monster is going to be a little pissed and go after the guy who is controlling him. You see what I'm saying? The monster is not technically on the player character side, but it's that old adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. One of the best campaigns I ever ran, I had a guy who rode a black dragon, and he was one of the main protagonists, and he worked for the main bad guy. He was a henchman, is not strong enough a word. He was a servant, but he wasn't a minion. He was too powerful to be a minion. But this guy worked with the bad guy, and the bad guy was giving him his orders. And so the players couldn't beat him. So what they did is they found a way to change his alignment from bad to good. He lost his dragon and most of his stuff, but he was still a pretty powerful dude, and he was not happy about having, my contention is there's more than one way to skin a cat. Henchmen, servitors of the bad guy, are usually trying to enact some part of the plan. But why? Why here? Are the PCs worth the diversion from the plan? Have the PCs been noticed by the bad guy? If so, have these servants been sent to kill them? Or to follow them? Or to watch them? You know what I'm saying? It's like before, let the PCs do whatever they're doing, and then get the item that you want, and then get the item from them. You see what I'm saying? The whole concept of the bad guy is he's bad, and if they're intelligent bad guys, you gotta play them as intelligent. They're a mindless beast. For example, a good example. I was running players, and they were attacked by a pack of wolves, and these wolves weren't interested in their items. They wanted fresh meat. So when the players were all wiped out by the wolves, they were like, well, except for 2 players who made it up a tree and hid. The wolves down there were like, okay, well, when the wolves leave, we'll just go down and resurrect everybody. No, you're not going to be able to do that because the wolves are eating. That's the whole point they're being there, A lot of people had to make up new characters. My contention is you got to play the monsters as the monsters. Okay, the wolves weren't interested in their stuff. The guys are hiding up in a tree. They had a lot of nice stuff when they were done, but other people had to make up new characters. You see what I'm saying? When the monsters are being run against the player characters, I usually categorize the monsters into one of the following: rabble, a disciplined force, or singular monsters. Now, rabble is basically a mass of bodies. They're uncoordinated, undisciplined, a group of people that run over and attack. The mob, as it were. In that, I usually try to do groups of initiatives that do different things and like that. Watch my video on initiatives, and you'll see what I'm talking about, how to roll initiatives. But my contention is, if you have groups of people that are doing different things, they're not really working together, but they're all against the player characters. It's undisciplined rabble. Then you have the disciplined force, which is a force with training and an objective which the leaders are trying to achieve. These guys, you roll one initiative and they all act on the same one because they have discipline and training. They have a goal. They're being organized, and somebody's given them orders to follow. They're like a military unit. Okay, they're much better coordinated. Then you have your singular monsters, dragons, hydras, or some other large critter which is threatening the PC. Each one gets its own initiative. So, that way it's a little more fair and a little more realistic. That's what I do. And again, all these are just suggestions. You can run it however you want. My contention is this is what I do. Intelligent creatures will act with purpose and precision, otherwise they will just randomly attack the nearest person, basically. For example, a dragon will be rational and try to use tactics. Disciplined groups will act accordingly as well. A pack of wolves is looking for fresh meat, like I said, and will just attack the nearest player character. How you play monsters in your game will directly impact the enjoyment that your players experience. If you have wolves that are using tactics with an L-shaped ambush, and yeah, there's something wrong with that. Those wolves are not normal wolves. By the same token, if you have an evil paladin who is just running around killing people, that's out of character as well. You see what I'm saying? Every monster has a personality, and depending on if it's a group of peasants, a trained military force, a dragon, whatever, they all have their own motivations. They all have different intelligence levels. You have to play them accordingly. All right? Your players will thank you, and they'll have a lot more fun. Just saying. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.